If you study history, you'll soon find out it can be a mix of fact and legend. For example, legend tells us that in 1804, the Lewis and Clark expedition learned of the birth of a male child near the expedition's encampment in what is now southeastern South Dakota. Captain Lewis is said to have sent for the child and wrapped the newborn in an American flag during the council at Calumet Bluff. Lewis declared the baby an American. This boy grew up to become chief of the Ihunktawan Nakota, also known as the Yankton Sioux, and he was known by the name as Struck by the Ree. However, journals of the expedition make no mention of this incident, but you will hear it as part of oral history passed down by the tribe. History also tells us that by the late 1850s, there was strong pressure to open this area to European settlement. Struck by the Ree and several other chiefs journeyed to Washington, D.C. in 1857. They wanted to negotiate a treaty with the federal government. Struck by the Ree's name appears first on that document. It's the Treaty of Washington. It was signed in April 1858. A treaty provision included moving the tribe to a 475,000-acre reservation on the north side of the Missouri River in what is now Charles Mix County. Today, the Yankton Sioux Reservation is the second largest in the United States and is located entirely within the county. The tribal headquarters is here in Wagner. And for context, Wagner straddles Highway 50 at about a dozen miles east of the Fort Randall Dam on the Missouri. Now, Wagner was founded in 1900 and incorporated a few years later. It's named for Walt Wagner, the local postmaster at the time. Along with tribal activities, Wagner and the surrounding area offers great fishing, boating, camping, and other recreational opportunities. The community is a hub that draws shoppers and workers from around the area. Wagner is a progressive and growing town, known for excellent educational and healthcare systems. The fact is, it's a town with big city amenities and that small town feel. And that's what we're here to explore with you. Welcome to Dakota Life, and greetings from Wagner.
Dakota Life is made possible with support from our members. Thank you. With corporate support from First Dakota National Bank. First Dakota has supported the dreams of families, businesses, and communities for over 150 years, with personal, business, and ag banking solutions for every stage of the journey. And by CHS, a partner in the field, from planting to harvest and every point in between, dedicated to supporting farmers and committed to the communities it serves. CHS, a farmer-owned cooperative.
The Yanktons are a tribe from the Mississippi region. They settled in South Dakota and Minnesota in the 18th century. They ceded 2.2 million acres to Iowa in the 1830s, and 20 years later, the tribe ceded another 11 million acres. By 1860, it had turned over almost all of its remaining land to the U.S. government, and most tribal members had moved to the Yankton Reservation. The reservation started with nearly 500,000 acres, but homesteading by settlers in the 1880s withdrew much of the reservation from tribal control. Today, the Yankton Sioux Reservation covers about 40,000 acres. The Yankton Sioux people have a deep connection to their land and their traditions. They are passed down from generation to generation. The traditional way of life was based on hunting, fishing, and gathering. The animals they hunted became food, clothing, and tools, and wild plants and berries were also gathered for food. The Yankton Sioux people have strong spiritual and artistic traditions. They're centered around the belief that everything in the world is connected and that all living things have a spirit. They also believe in the importance of community and family. They're known for their beadwork, quill work, and painting, and they have a strong tradition of storytelling to preserve tribal history. Coming up on the program, we're going to explore the Wagner area with a stop by the Boys and Girls Clubs, tell you about the 605 Unity Jam and the Sip Family Homestead. But what about those folks who help Wagner with their morning caffeine fix? Well, they're over at the Grindhouse.
A tiny little setting that can also, it can be stressful when you get a rush, but we work through it, and it's all about having fun and giving the community, a tasty product. Hardest part of starting a business is where you're going to call it. Every drink has a fresh ground coffee beans. Our building kind of looks like a little cabin house type structure, and we are sitting right on Highway 46.
Yeah.
So Grindhouse 46.
46 comes from the highway. The coolest thing in the morning is like when you wake up in the morning, and if you haven't had your coffee, you kind of have this aura about you. Like you're just like, I think I've seen memes like, don't talk to me until I've had my cup of coffee. Well, when you're the person that hands that coffee to the person that needs that little boost in the morning, they have a smile on their face, or they like have a sense of relief, or they're happy to see you.
Myself and my team of baristas, we all had to get really creative. They are amazing at creating drinks. We're like, I try to compare ourselves to little bitty like lab scientists, because we're like mixing drinks. We got all these cups and we have these flavors. I keep everything on our social media. That's a big way that we are able to advertise and announce certain drinks that we have that's new. One of the recent drinks that just blew up and went crazy was the Barbie Lotus. I advertised it a couple days before the movie actually came out, and I mean, it just went crazy. Like, we ran out of product. I didn't think it was going to be that big, but I mean, the community as a whole just came out and just wanted something new, and it's just really awesome when you see those trends that you think, you don't know if it's going to do good, and then you just give it a try, and the community just really, they really support. And that's the really cool thing about being in Wagner, is that the community has supported us 110% on this new venture that we're doing, and so that's really special.
Just wanted some coffee and saw this place and stopped in, so.
That's also unique, is we have those out-of-town people that just come through, and we get to chit-chat, kind of get to know them. They always say this is a cute little shop in the middle of town.
It's always when you like pass through these small towns that you're always like looking for an espresso place or coffee place. I grew up in Washington State, where coffee's everywhere, so it's just kind of like a daily life thing. And so no, I wasn't expecting this at all, and it was a nice surprise.
We're not catering to just one specific group. Coffee speaks to everybody. Everybody loves coffee. Everybody, wants to have just a drink. Somebody actually said that we are bringing unity to this community by just having a native-owned shop in the middle of town where everybody has supported it, and that just makes you feel really proud.
We drove by it one day, and my son was like, "There's our coffee shop," and so you could see it in his eyes that he had ownership in something that gave him pride, and so that translates to other people that are our tribal members. Like, those are our people. Like, look what they've done. They're doing a positive thing, and they're helping their community.
The settlers that moved into the Yankton Sioux land were immigrants from Holland, Norway, Sweden, and Czechoslovakia. They arrived looking for land to homestead. The town would soon follow. The original Wagner town site was located 3.5 miles south of the present location. But like so many other communities in South Dakota, the influence of the railroad brought on a relocation. The Milwaukee Land Company laid out a new town site along the planned rail line in 1900. Walter W. Wagner erected a tar paper covered store there and was granted a postal right by the U.S. government. So Mr. Wagner was appointed the first postmaster. The Yankton Sioux called his tar paper town Tisapana, but it was the Milwaukee line that decided on the town name. You see, Walter Wagner took a group of Milwaukee Railroad officials on a fishing trip, and it was so successful they decided to name the town after their host. Wagner has enjoyed steady development ever since, and today, descendants of the Yankton Sioux and those immigrants are here today. The people in this area have a unique population makeup. It's about half European descent and half Native American. Now, Wagner has its share of ethnic tensions, but people of Wagner also look for opportunities to celebrate diversity. And the young people are leading the charge. For example, the school started doing a feather ceremony for Native students, and they would also receive a star quilt. But now this has expanded, and all students of all backgrounds receive that star quilt when they graduate. And each June, the folks in Wagner celebrate their diversity with what's called the 605 Unity Jam. It's a jamboree of art and music to celebrate cultures.
I wanted people to come to Wagner, get out of their car, walk around the lake, walk over and see these buffalo, and then when they're looking at them, they're going to start to talk about, well, what kind of community is this? Why are people doing this? Why does this matter? And all of a sudden, everybody has their own ideas and their own reasons for why they're here.
The buffalo were painted from designs submitted by students in the Wagner School District. They're intended to be an enduring symbol throughout the year that the native and white cultures come together, share, and celebrate each other annually at the 605 Unity Jam.
3, 2, 1, go for it!
Get set, go!
Wagner, in my opinion, has had an image problem for years. And that's what's created the problems of trying to get teachers to come here, EMT people, different things. The town, the Chamber of Commerce here has been very active in looking for solutions. And this is one of those things that could bring people here, give people a chance to see what the town is about, find out the message that matters, and start to think twice about, you know what, maybe we should consider living here, or at least coming to visit.
I've always seen a bit of a divide in our community, but being a part of this, it's made me see that there are a lot of people who are passionate about this, who care, and they want to know more, and they want to see a stronger community.
40-some years, I've watched the two communities point fingers at each other and just provide every excuse why the other guy's at fault. Can't we do something different? And everybody kind of agreed, it's time to do something different.
The purpose of this gathering is to come together, and purpose is powerful.
I've noticed, of course, like I said, I was a counselor here for 40 years, that what students who are now adults, they're now in leadership roles, they want a different world. They want jobs, they want a future. They don't want to keep arguing over the same things their parents argued about. They're just tired of it.
So I think it's important to just be willing to come for even just a little bit, and be open to meeting new people and be open to learning new things.
In our language, we say Uitaya, and that is unity. And as I came here this morning and we sang some songs, and to see the people, it was a good feeling, a good energy.
We live together, we don't even know each other. How many Native people have gone to Czech days? How many Czech people have gone to a powwow? It's amazing that you hear how many people have never done anything like that, and yet they've lived in one area. And those are the kinds of things younger people would like to see changed.
I am really excited about the youth powwow. As you might have heard, we've never done a youth powwow inside of Wagner. So it's pretty big, and I really love the Native American culture. I love learning about it. I just find learning about other people's cultures so fascinating, and I feel it's so important to understand them so that we can have respect for them. So that's why I wanted to get involved.
So things are changing and getting better, and people want them to get better. That's the part I like. If everybody's going to be at each other's throat over everything, how do you make life better? You don't. So I think most people want to see an optimistic message, and they want to see an outcome, and that's what today is going to produce, an outcome. We'll see what, but it's only one day and it's one step. We're not trying to change the whole world, just take one step.
Wagner has its share of athletic success to boast about. In fact, one of the state's most famous basketball players hails from here in Wagner. South Dakota Sports Hall of Famer Mandy Kopel was a 1999 Wagner High grad and continued to play at the University of South Dakota. She led the Wagner Red Raiders to back-to-back state Class A basketball titles in 1997 and 98, and set national high school records for field goal shooting. She scored 2,500 points and was a 3-time North Central Conference MVP while at the university. She set or tied 18 USD records and set NCC records for points and rebounds. She's also a former assistant women's coach at USD and at Colorado State. She returned to Wagner to teach and coach for a while, but has moved on. Well, it may be a Kopel family thing because in 2023, Mandy's niece, Ashlyn Kopel, scored 22 points and nearly 7 rebounds per game, leading the Red Raiders to a second-place finish at the Girls State A tournament. And her parents, Mike and Tara Kopel, are both teachers at Wagner and coach the girls' basketball team. Plus, Ashlyn's sister, Macy, was also a regular starter for the Red Raiders, too. But whether it's athletics or education, Wagner encourages young people to be their best. Many Wagner athletes have gone on to play at the college level, and they have their names on a mural at the Boys and Girls Club. And that club features an after-school and summer year-round program designed to provide safe and educationally enriching programs for 1st through 12th graders. So, let's visit the Wagner Boys and Girls Club and find out what makes that program so special.
My favorite thing, I would say dodgeball. I was a dodgeball geek. I loved to dodgeball.
Learning a bridge.
It's not Wagner without the Boys and Girls Club of the Missouri River area. Thousands of kids have made their way through the club.
We serve over 130 kids a day. It can be a lot at times, considering that we only have 6 staff, but at the same time, it makes it all worth it in the end because of how much they have fun here.
Before it was established in 1998, this building was a combination of Wagner's City Hall, Public Library, and Fire Department.
One of my fellow board members, Judge Bruce Anderson, he and I had addressed the city council together. We were standing out in the street after the meeting, and I looked at the building and I looked at Bruce. I said, "You know, Bruce, someday we're going to take over this whole building." And we just looked at each other and laughed because that was such a far-fetched thought. And now, 25 years later, the Boys and Girls Club has that entire building. It's all dedicated to the Boys and Girls Club, and probably as much as anything, that speaks to the success of the club, to how successful the club was, that the city of Wagner just looked at what we were doing on one end of the building and said, why don't you do more of it? Here's some more space to do that.
Each room has their own environment. Each room has their own program. Each room has their different types of people, and you get to interact with people that maybe you don't interact with at school.
Rooms like this.
Doctor! Nurse!
Snack room we do games, we have snack, learn about health, learn about healthy foods, how to, keep your body healthy. We have gym, that one, just kind of play, learn new games, stuff like that, stay active, learn how to keep your body active while also playing safe games. We also have the game room. That one's kind of the social interaction room. That one I feel like is very important at the club because this is where you learn how to interact with people that maybe you don't interact with on a daily basis. This is how you learn how to interact with other, adults, how you make relationships, friendships, stuff like that.
I grew up in Wagner, South Dakota all my life, and I started coming to the club when I was in 1st grade, so about 6 years old. It really just gave me the social, physical, mental health well-being that I really needed and craved, which I probably wouldn't have gotten at home because I'm a single child, so I didn't really have any brothers or sisters or cousins to play with. So yeah, just kind of gave me an outlet to basically better my life and not just, sit at home and not really do anything productive. So
art room, that one's really popular. A lot of people like that one to be creative. Everybody loves the art room.
Ever since I was little, I always loved coloring. I always loved just anything artistic. I'm starting a beading class in there, teaching other kids how to bead, but my beads actually just came in today. But I'm Planning on starting that more in the future, just sharing my culture, or sharing the Native culture, sharing with the other Native American community, because I knew that whenever I was younger I would have liked to learn how to bead, but I didn't learn it until later in life. But I just hope to share my knowledge that I do have now.
The mural in the gym is representation of our community as a whole. It's an amazing piece of artwork out there.
Just kind of tying in that culture of the Native people with the club, you know, how we can connect the two. Every time I look at it, I see something different. You know, it incorporates like the braiding of the hair, which is, you know, like in Sweetgrass and stuff that we do as Native people.
Creation stories, and there's a lot of Native American stories within it, and to even have our staff up there, it means a lot to see that every day and have the kids see that every day. It's going to be there forever, that's the thing, and just to have that part of our club's history, it means so much.
Why travel, helpful, deliver.
If there's any kids out there that are questioning coming to the club, I would say just take the chance. It changed my life drastically. I was in a bad spot before I came to the Boys and Girls Club, and the Boys and Girls Club saved me. Like there's no other way to say it. Like it just saved me.
Since 1900, Wagner has established some long-held traditions. The local Rotary Club has been doing service projects for generations, and the club is one of the few in the world to own their own building. Each September, over 10,000 visitors come to Wagner for the Labor Day Festival. It's a 3-day event that includes a kids' fishing derby, a large pageant with the crowning of the Labor Day Queen, and an alumni sports tournament, plus a carnival and a rodeo. Patricia Fry's family has deep roots in the community. Patricia is a Rotarian and Chamber of Commerce president. Fry's own the community bank, and Patricia has her own insurance agency. It's been in her family since 1925. Bowie's Food Company has been the grocer for Wagner for over a century. The company has been owned by the same family since the town of Wagner was first incorporated. Now, before we travel on, let's take a tour of Sip Homestead Farms, and we're going to meet the Schoenfelder family. They're the 5th generation to live on that land. The family has transformed an original way station from the 1800s, and it now provides a unique lodging experience for the visitors.
I am very happy with just the beauty of South Dakota and the prairie. We love the rolling hills. When it's just a nice breeze and you watch the grass just sway back and forth, it's so calming and so relaxing.
It was a love of the South Dakota prairie that brought Lisa Schoenfelder from the Pacific Northwest back to her family's land that sits just outside of Wagner.
It was originally homesteaded in 1896 by my great-great-grandfather, and he put his oldest son, Frank Sip, on here, and then it went down from generation to generation, and I'm the 5th generation.
Through the generations, one constant here has been this log cabin, which dates back even farther than the family has owned the land.
Before my family homesteaded it, it was a way station. So in the 1880s, they would have built this cabin and put the gentleman, could have been a woman, but a person out here to keep track of the people who would travel through the way station, and he would keep those records. So the logs that you see here are the original logs, and we worked very hard to clean those logs up so that they can be observable to anybody who comes and sees us here.
Through all the original logs sits where the original window was back in the 1800s.
If you look at the original picture of the house, that picture is dated about 1903. It's kind of interesting if you put yourself back at that time, you know, that it's south facing. The sun comes in, it lights the room. And I guess you could also think about, you know, that's the window that people saw things, you know, back in 1900.
It's this window into the past that gives this former farm its sense of history, its character, and its allure to visitors seeking a unique prairie experience.
You can feel it now as we sit here. Our guests always talk about how cozy and calm and relaxing it is. Even the farm setting. I mean, people come from the city We have a guest right now who's from, New York City, and they're just enjoying themselves here with the peace and the quiet and the calmness. And, one of our treasures we have here in South Dakota, rural South Dakota.
Lisa has made sure some aspects of the family farm have remained on this land. Today, there are still animals roaming the place, and grain still is an important thing here. But today, some of that grain is used in a much different way.
My husband has been brewing beer since 1995, and we lived out in the Northwest for many years, and there was a very big beer brewery culture out there, and we were looking for a way to get back here on the farm. And we came up with this idea about building a brewery out on the farm. Even we ourselves thought we might be a little bit crazy, but it's worked out fairly well, and we do have people who come to see us, not only for the bed and breakfast, but also for the brewery. And I think what's nice about that is it kind of ties in with a little bit of the family history, because my grandfather used to make beer, as I think many of those grandfathers out there did, because that's how they got beer.
So Lisa developed this recipe. This was a Lisa recipe.
For Lisa, her goal is to make sure someone from the Sip family is still on this piece of land for many years to come.
I hope that we can pass it on to the next generation. It just makes me connect even more with my ancestors and how their life would have been back, in those days, their struggles. It helps give me encouragement, because there are days where it's pretty tough and it's like, I don't know about this, but no, I just have to remember what it was like for my grandmother and my great-grandmother. It was tougher for them, so if they can do it, I can do it too.
Wagner Lake, here on the west edge of Wagner, is a park and a recreation area. The idea to have this lake actually started in 1933. The Chamber of Commerce, the mayor, and area businessmen all donated funds to purchase some land. Then a dam, spillway, and a bridge were constructed as part of a WPA project. In fact, local relief workers did most of the work. Today, the area around the lake has a new picnic shelter and an old bathhouse with a new tin roof. There are stone picnic tables here and there, and an artesian well sends water flowing down a rock waterfall. On the north side of the lake, below the artesian well, is the Wagner Community Memorial Garden. There are planting areas with flowers dedicated to deceased loved ones, organizations, and families. A walking and bike trail starts on the southeast corner of the park and goes completely around the lake. It's a wonderful place to relax in the shade or enjoy the water. It's also the site of the annual 605 Jam that we visited earlier. We hope you've enjoyed your visit to Wagner. You can find more stories about this area on our website, and you can replay